We will now move our attention to Unit 6, Revolutions Reloaded, Part 2. So now in this video, we're going to start by talking about Relocation Diffusion, which involves the actual movement of people who have already adopted an idea or an innovation. They carry these ideas with them and then spread them to whatever new location they travel to. This is a contrast to expansion diffusion, where the people stay put. Now, relocation diffusion occurs most often through migration, such as with Simón Bolívar fighting in battles over Europe and then returning to his home in Venezuela, where he spread the ideas of revolution and reform, which we'll learn about. A modern example can be seen in almost every country in the world. The picture to the left shows a Muslim mosque in Paris. The image to the right shows a Hindu crematorium in Kenya. Both of these countries are dominated by Christianity. Nonetheless, diffusion can be easily seen in the cultural landscape. Now, under relocation diffusion, there's even one other category we can look at, and that is migrant diffusion. Now, this occurs when an idea or innovation originates somewhere and enjoys a strong but brief adoption there. As people migrate, they bring the idea, innovation, trend, disease, or whatever with them. In this way, the movement resembles that of a slinky.
It's Slinky, for fun is the best of the toys. It's Slinky, the favorite of girls and boys. It's Slinky, for fun is the best of the toys. It's Slinky, the favorite of girls and boys. Everyone wants a Slinky, you ought to get a Slinky.
Now, again, if you didn't quite get the imagery there, it moves and you have a brief adoption and then it moves on again. Now, an example of this in history is that of the worst pandemic in human history, the Spanish flu that went on from 1918 to 1919, and some say even beyond that. This was spread worldwide through modern migration and through the movements of troops during World War I. It is estimated that anywhere between 20 and 40 million people died during the course of that year-long span alone. The reason why this is migrant diffusion is, if you catch a disease, one of two things will happen. Either you'll get better, or you will die. Either way, the disease will also die out. Now, to finish our segment on vocabulary, we can take a look at now the impact of diffusion. The first word we'll look at this part is transculturation. This is a process where cultural traits are shared between at least two separate cultural groups. In this process, both cultures function as sources and adopters of culture. A good example can be seen between German and American culture. We have adopted things such as Christmas trees, kindergarten, and frankfurters, while Germans have adopted American things like movies, music, you name it. Yet both distinct cultures remain. Acculturation is when a less dominant culture adopts cultural traits of a more dominant culture. Yet both groups remain distinct. For example, the American technology-based popular culture has been much more pervasive than, let's say, the local culture of indigenous people in the Amazon. And finally, assimilation is a process where one culture loses cultural traits over time after coming into contact with another culture. Now, this is what Napoleon attempted to do when he brought almost all of Europe into the French way of life, through conquest and the Napoleonic Code. As a result, he unwittingly awakened a spirit of nationalism that led to many revolts in the ensuing years after his capture and his imprisonment. And looking at something a little bit closer to home, the United States is often referred to as a melting pot, where we have people from many different cultures from around the world who come together for the American experience. Now, many other people have said that we're more like a salad bowl, where you have many different groups, yet they do tend to clump together into different areas. Nonetheless, we do tend to see that the longer a person has been in the United States, or his family has been in the United States, assimilation does tend to occur.